In the darkest days of World War II, when the skies over Eastern Europe burned with smoke and fire, the Soviet Union unleashed one of the deadliest fighter aircraft of the war, the Yakovlev Yak-3. Small, lightweight, incredibly fast, and terrifying in close combat, the Yak-3 became a nightmare for German pilots and a symbol of Soviet air power. Designed by the famous Soviet aircraft engineer Alexander Yakovlev, the Yak-3 was created with one goal in mind: air superiority. Soviet pilots needed a fighter that could climb faster, turn tighter, and strike harder against German aircraft like the Messerschmitt Bf-109 and the Focke-Wulf FW-190. The result was an aircraft that many historians still consider one of the best dogfighters of World War II. The Yak-3 first entered combat in 1944. By then, the Soviet Union had learned valuable lessons from years of brutal air warfare on the Eastern Front. Earlier aircraft had struggled with speed and agility, but the Yak-3 changed everything. It was lighter than previous Soviet fighters and powered by the reliable Klimov VK-105PF engine, allowing it to reach speeds of over 640 kilometers per hour. What truly made the Yak-3 feared was its maneuverability. At low altitude, where most Eastern Front air battles took place, the aircraft could outturn almost any enemy fighter. German pilots were warned not to engage Yak-3 fighters below 5,000 meters because the Soviet aircraft held a deadly advantage in close-range combat. The Yak-3 featured a sleek wooden and metal frame designed for speed and simplicity. Soviet engineers understood the harsh realities of war production. Factories needed aircraft that could be built quickly and repaired easily near the front lines. The Yak-3 perfectly matched those needs. Despite wartime shortages and difficult conditions, thousands were produced in a relatively short period. Inside the cockpit, Soviet pilots praised the Yak-3 for its excellent visibility and responsive controls. Unlike heavier fighters, the aircraft felt almost alive in the hands of experienced pilots. A slight movement of the stick could send the fighter rolling into sharp turns or climbing rapidly toward enemy bombers. The aircraft's armament was compact but deadly. Most Yak-3 fighters carried a powerful 20mm Schwack cannon firing through the propeller hub, along with heavy machine guns mounted above the engine. In close combat, a short burst could tear apart enemy fighters in seconds. One of the Yak-3's greatest strengths was its acceleration. German pilots often reported seeing Soviet fighters suddenly appear from nowhere, rapidly closing the distance before opening fire. In dogfights, speed alone did not guarantee victory. The ability to change direction quickly and maintain energy during turns was critical, and the Yak-3 excelled in exactly those areas. French pilots from the famous Normandy-Niemen squadron also flew the Yak-3 with great success. These volunteer French aviators fought alongside Soviet forces against Germany and developed enormous respect for the aircraft. Many considered it superior to several Western Allied fighters in close-range combat. As Soviet forces pushed westward toward Berlin, Yak-3 fighters dominated many sections of the Eastern Front sky. They escorted bombers, attacked enemy aircraft, and protected advancing Soviet troops from German air attacks. By late 1944 and early 1945, the Luftwaffe was already weakened by fuel shortages and experienced pilot losses, but the appearance of advanced Soviet fighters like the Yak-3 made the situation even worse for Germany. German pilots respected the Yak-3 because it was dangerous in the exact type of combat they feared most: low-altitude turning battles. The fighter could climb rapidly, dive aggressively, and maintain control even during intense aerial maneuvers. Many Luftwaffe veterans later admitted that the Yak-3 was among the most difficult Soviet fighters to defeat. Despite its strengths, the Yak-3 also had limitations. Its lightweight structure meant limited armor protection, and the aircraft was not designed for long-range missions. It performed best close to the battlefield, where speed and agility mattered more than endurance. But on the Eastern Front, those conditions were ideal. The Yak-3 represented a shift in Soviet aviation philosophy. Instead of building overly complex aircraft, Soviet engineers focused on practical combat performance. The fighter was simple, efficient, and deadly, a machine designed entirely for war. After World War II ended, the Yak-3 continued serving in several countries for a short time before being replaced by jet aircraft. The arrival of jet fighters changed aerial warfare forever, but the legacy of the Yak-3 remained strong among aviation historians and pilots. Today, restored Yak-3 aircraft still fly at air shows, reminding the world of the fierce air battles fought over Europe more than 80 years ago. The roar of its engine and the sleek shape of its wings continue to capture the imagination of aviation enthusiasts everywhere. The Yakovlev Yak-3 was not the largest fighter of World War II. It was not the heaviest armed, nor the fastest at high altitude. But in the brutal, low-altitude dogfights of the Eastern Front, it became one of the deadliest aircraft ever built. Fast, agile, and relentless, the Yak-3 proved that sometimes the most dangerous weapon is not the biggest machine, but the one perfectly designed for the battlefield it was meant to dominate.